Hi, I'm Steve Berry, and that is Thoresby Hall, considered by many in the know to be the finest house in the East Midlands. But we're not here for Grade 1 listed, perfectly proportioned architecture and magnificent masonry. Oh no, we're here for cars and bikes, and the metal is that way. Who doesn't love a Mini? I don't trust anybody who doesn't like Minis. It's like people who don't like dogs. It says a lot about them.
Yeah, it does. We've got cats and Minis.
I'm going. No, I'm only kidding. I like cats as well. But I do like Minis, and I especially like this one because, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but it just looks massively original and really early.
It is mainly original, yeah. It's only had little bits of cosmetic work done. It's not been resprayed. It's mainly original paintwork. I've had it 30 years, and we've basically done nothing to it, only just maintain it.
It's super basic as well. And please don't take that the wrong way.
No.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
Look at the door handles, the sliding windows, external door hinges.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's the paper running in sticker on the inside of the window there that says don't go over 40 miles an hour.
Hold on. That's the sticker. I thought I saw, it's
Yeah.
not quite in perfect condition because
No,
it's
it's
how
late.
old?
It's
60
63.
years old? 63 years
yeah.
old? But that's the running in sticker
Yeah.
that they put there to tell you not to go too fast.
That's right, for the first
Wow.
500 miles.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the warranty, you've got your warranty there.
Yeah, it's been out of date.
Is it? Yeah, about 60 years out of it.
Yeah.
What mileage is on it?
It's 31,000 on it. It was 26,000 when I bought it, and that was 30 years ago. I've had it 30 years.
30 years ago, again, I don't want to cause offence because I love this car, but some of the things that I'm saying might sound a little bit like I'm being judgmental aware. I'm not, trust me. 30 years ago, did anybody give a tinker's cuss about an old Mini like this?
I think they were starting to.
Starting
yeah.
to, yeah.
But, obviously as time's gone by, originality becomes more of a focus on a car as time goes on. And there are a lot of restored cars, but I just love the originality of it.
I love the way that you haven't tried to look at that. Filled with blue coal. You've got all these stickers here.
Yeah, that's the BMC rosette over the other side, and it's original first tax disc. And if you look with the warranty certificate, there's the original cheque that the lady that had it new paid for it when she bought it.
Right, but hold on. How come you would be able to get that? Because presumably the dealer went and cashed that cheque.
They did, but in those times they used to send the cheques back after they'd cleared, so you could balance your accounts. So she kept everything with it, and I've got the original cheque that bought it in 1960.
I had one. It was my second car. My first car was a Citroen Ami.
Right.
Yeah. Quirky looking car. Mm-hmm. Looked like a 2CV with ideas above its station, but which is what it was. But my second car was a Mini, an 850 with sliding windows and these door handles, but it was so far gone. We didn't think that these would ever be collector's items, so people didn't look after them. And so I think you're more likely to see a Cooper S than one like this, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, because they were of a better standing at the time. Boy racers have a Cooper S, and the little bog standard Mini doesn't necessarily get thought about, does it?
I think that's why it's so great to see one like this, because there are so few of them that are left. It's exciting. It's weird how exciting it is to see one like this because it's so rare.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think it's worth? Do we have any idea? Get a bit Antiques Roadshow on you.
We had a guy in this morning that was interested in buying it, and I think probably about 15,000 is his current value for as it is now.
I think that can only go up, because this is it's. And it's great to see it being driven. You've driven it here today.
Yeah, we're only a few miles the other side of Worksop, so yeah, we've brought it. I was praying that it wouldn't rain, as a lot of people were today, but yeah, it's not too far, and we're coming again tomorrow.
Has it got a radio?
No.
Yeah, but of course it hasn't. You just have to sing, don't you, or sort of, hum.
It always puts a smile on my face when we get it out and to take it for a spin, yeah.
Well, it's fantastic. I think it's great. I really do. When I left school in the 80s, I got a job on a building site. And at Christmas time, the boss got everybody together and said, "Lads, times are hard, so there'll be no pay rise this year." There was discontent. He said, "I'll tell you what, look outside. I've had to get rid of my Jag and get a Ford." What the Ford that he got was one of these, a Granada Gear X, the absolute pinnacle of the Ford range. A V6 engine, metallic paint, velour seats, wood cappings, alloy wheels, and he paid twice as much for it as he got Part X for his long-in-the-tooth Jag, but we didn't find that out till later. So Roy, what is Project J?
It's a club for these early discoveries. Before there was called Discovery, when they were on the drawing board, there was called Project J.
Right.
That's 1989 to 93. Then after that, the Discovery one was called Project Romulus. So there's so few of these J's left now because they're so rotten underneath that people have just scrapped them, and so we decided to try and save a few, and that's what we're about.
A pal of mine's got one of these, and it's his daily driver, and as you've pointed out, they do tend to rot, but he loves this so much, he's spent a lot of time. Fortunately, he's in the classic car business himself, but he's had to do a lot of work to keep his going. But as he says to me, he doesn't know what he'd replace it with.
No, that's true. They're so simple. There's no electronics on these at all. You could buy them with an electric pack, which was electric windows and electric central locking on the key again. No electronics apart from that. And so they're so simple to repair. The diesel engine, just a straightforward diesel engine, no electronics.
Not many people would think of this as a classic car, I don't think. I'm starting to look at it differently and thinking, yeah, these, because they're so distinctive, so recognisable, and as you said, because there are so few of them left, it's a classic car.
Yes, they are 30 years old, of course. Well,
wow, that's making me feel old.
Yeah, this one was built in 89, then these later ones were 90, but they're still J's. The Romulus, as I say, didn't come out till 93. 94 rather, yeah.
Wow, the fact that this car is 34 years old is making me, because I remember when they were new, I drove them when they were new.
Right, and of course the registration number, WAC, is Coventry. We at the club call them G-Wax, because at the launch in 1989 there was 86 of them at the launch at Plymouth for the press and the dealers, and they were all with this G-Wax numbers.
Right.
All these sequential numbers from, I forget which numbers they were from now, but they're all G-Wax.
So if people have got one and they can't find parts or they don't know who's going to fix it for them, then if they join the project, then presumably the hive mind gets together and sorts it out for them.
Oh yes, of course. We've got lots of spare parts at home for these early ones, yes.
Now, of course, we're here for the cars and bikes, but we also like to see the dogs. So many fine examples of the canine race come along to these shows. But what's your dog of the show? Let us know in the comments below. We liked all of them. So, if we're thinking about the definitive classic British car, then surely we're thinking about the MGB. You might think differently, but the truth is you're wrong. It just is. And when you come to classic American cars, then the strongest contender for that title, has got to be the Ford Mustang. I had one just like this, a notchback with a 289 V8. Not all Mustangs were V8. Most had a straight 6 engine in them, just the same as most Capris weren't 3 litre V6s, even though everybody thinks they were. Mine was even this colour, Tahoe turquoise, this fabulous colour. But when I bought mine, the only trace of Tahoe turquoise that we could find was underneath the parcel shelf in the back, because when it was new, and mine was sold new here in the UK, the bloke that bought it had immediately, it was this colour, this fabulous colour, he'd immediately had it resprayed plain white with a black vinyl roof and a Webasto sunroof as well. Sacrilege, the definitive American classic, the Ford Mustang. So tell us about your handsome French car, sir.
It's a 1969 Renault 16.
I'm glad you said Reynolds as well. That's what my dad would have said. You didn't go Renault.
Oh no, it's not. It's a Renault in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
It's been parked up since 1982. I've owned it 4 years, and it's took me that time to get it back to what it is today.
So is this the first outing? And
It is.
in how many years?
40.
40 years this car's been tucked away.
Yep, 40 years, and this is the first show it's been out to in all that time.
The French love putting the spare wheel under the bonnet. Why?
It's about giving you more space in your passenger compartment. So by putting your gearbox and front wheel drive and your spare wheel here, it frees up all your space for your luggage and your passengers.
And whose idea was this? Look at this. A can of oil goes inside your spare wheel.
I've pinched that idea.
How did you pinch that off?
Well, a lot of the cars companies now do it. They'll put a foam insert into the centre, and usually it's got your jack or whatever in. Yeah. So I changed it and put some spare oil in there.
So the nomenclature, if I can use that word, on the back generally doesn't make sense. Even the stuff on the back of German cars doesn't make that much sense. But am I going to guess that 16 means it's a 1600?
No, it's a 1470 engine.
Of course it is. That's why it doesn't say Renault 1470 on the back.
Well, the later ones did go up to a 1600 engine.
Right, well, let's have a look at this revolutionary design round the back. And you can explain this to me. So, what's going on with this back seat?
So, just like a Honda Jazz, the back seat can go into numerous different positions depending what you need. So, as you can see, you can go all the way through. So you've got a large space. You can take the back seats out totally to give you even larger space. Obviously, they fold down for passengers to sit on. You can fold the front seats down to the back and make an entire bed. So it's quite a versatile seating arrangement. There's about 6 different arrangements to be had.
Or if you need to move a dead body, or...
Very handy indeed, yes.
It must have been in good order to start with, because I'm looking at a lot of stuff and it's obviously original.
Yeah, like I said, I've done my best to keep all the original stuff. The fact it was parked up for 40 years has saved it, really. If it had been left on the road, it had gone long ago.
So what miles has it got on it after all this time?
On the clock it's 65,000, but obviously I've just redone the engine, so we're starting again from scratch. But all the suspension, the brakes, that's all what was on it from 1982. So
there weren't many cars with as much thought put into the design as this. And back in the day, there weren't many hatchbacks, were there?
No, but this really is a poor man's Citroën DS. So the Citroën DS came out in 57, these came out in 65. But if you look at the DS, how the engine's laid out, the gearbox, this is where they've got the ideas from.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? This is sacrilege, but true.
Well, Renault was owned by the French government. Citroën was a private company. After the war, Mr. Renault was accused of being a Nazi sympathiser. So he went into prison and he actually got killed in there. And that's when the government took over Renault. So Renault were looking for, the next big seller. Citroën had got the 2CV, so Renault made the Renault 4, which is a Mickey take of the 2CV. They got the DS, which was a big seller for Citroën, so they did a poor man's version, which became a big seller for Renault. And of course, I don't think Citroën would be able to take on the French government.
How rare? How many of these in the UK? Is this the only one?
68 registered with the DVLA.
Yeah, but not as good as this. Come on, look at it. It's almost like a brand new car. Just say it. Don't be modest.
No,
it's awesome.
You'll have to argue that with the lads in the classic club. There are still some very good ones out there.
Do you know the sort of people that I imagine would have owned one of these back in the day? I tell you, geography teachers and nudists. People who were a little bit, a sort of person who, back in the day when absolutely nobody was a vegetarian, would have been vegetarian, would have had something different, something out of the ordinary.
You're right, and you must be about the sixth person today that said, "Oh, I remember these. My teacher used to have one."
Yeah.
So you're spot on.
Yeah.
It was something a bit left field, weren't it?
I don't remember those back lights.
That's because I was never on them. It's totally unique.
That's why I don't remember those back lights. They look great. Who did that?
If I knew his name, I'd be very good, because it was done in Malaysia.
Wow.
Sometime in the 60s. The car was built by Jensen's. Jensen's built the first 5,000, or 6,000, sorry, of the Volvos, because Volvo didn't have enough room in their factory in Sweden. So they contacted Jensen to do it. And this was built in 1963 by Jensen's and shipped straight out to Malaysia, brand new. And sometime in Malaysia, that was done.
It's a great colour. Is this the original colour?
No, it was red, but it was a different colour of red. It was a more orangey red. I've got the colour code, but I didn't particularly like that colour.
Well, it's in fantastic condition. I don't even remember that badge on there. Was that?
That's the Jensen ones only.
Right.
Yeah, they were only done on the Jensen one. In fact, when I got this, it didn't have the badges on. It had an 1800S badge on the back. Somebody tried to convert it into looking like an 1800S, right, which I think they thought was probably stood for sport, maybe. But it actually stands for Sweden. So the 1800S was built in Sweden. The 1800 wasn't. And it was only this Volvo that had these badges. But this didn't have them. But when I took all the paint off, there was 2 holes there where the badge had been removed, so I put it back.
I'll ask this gentleman a question now, and I bet he knows the answer.
3 million miles.
What? See? Before I even started, he had it. I was going to say, what is the highest mileage ever recorded on a car? What model was it, and what colour was it?
And what was
Before
his
I
name?
That's a teacher, school teacher, but I can't remember the guy's
I
name.
can't think of his name. He's dead now, though.
Oh, is he? Well, he won't be doing any more miles in that.
He's worried about driving it.
Oh, I wonder if it's for sale.
They never did him in light colours.
No.
No, they were always maroon or dark, which is a dark red, you know.
Well, it was a serious car for, and I say a serious man, it was really, I mean, it was back in the day, it was a man's car, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, they're true enough, yeah, they were, yeah. But like I said, they were done in dark colours, blues and greys and things like that. But I always said, the next one I did up, I'd do it in a two-tone because they never did them two-tone. And I want it in a light colour so it stands out.
Vauxhall did theirs in two-tone, didn't they? The Cresta and all that.
Yeah,
I think they were trying to copy, well, they're part of General Motors. Some people forget, not car people, but people forget Vauxhall been part of General Motors since 1929, I think, or they had been.
Yeah.
So they were like the American cars, but these were always more sombre. The police had these, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah. They had, as everybody knows them, at Z cars, because they were actually very light yellow. I don't know whether you know that. Very light colour in yellow, so they look white on TV screen.
Well, didn't Ferrari have to paint, when colour telly came along, Ferrari had to paint their Grand Prix cars orange because that looked red on the newfangled colour tellies.
Right.
So the actual white cars on telly were yellow.
That's right, they were, yeah.
Who knew that? Well, you're getting all the good stuff here. Are they any good to drive? Because it's a big car. It's not got a lot of power, but it's
2.5 litre engine.
plenty of. I'm being devil's advocate here. Well, I'll tell you for why. My grandfather ran these in Lancashire Constabulary, and he told me that when the Mark II Jag came out, they couldn't get anywhere near it in these things.
That's right.
He had to get his Riley that he used for like a bit of motorsport out, and they used to chase villains in the Riley because the Z cars couldn't keep up with the Jags.
That's right, yeah. That's right, yeah. It's but they were first. The 6-cylinder engine were the first 100-mile-an-hour Ford. What they did, yeah, they were, yeah. But
do they stop, or have you had to uprate the?
No, the disc on front.
Oh, discs, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought that. I would have said drums all round.
No. Mark III they had discs on front, drums on back, and that's how they came off production line. So stopping wise they're very good. Even nowadays they're very good as long as you keep them well maintained. Driving wise they're very heavy to drive unless they're rolling, you know what I mean, unless they're moving, then they're fine, they're okay. But like if you from standing start you've got to turn a corner straight away, you know, you're really doing this with it, sort of thing. Like,
was this a Ford of Britain car or was it a European car?
Yeah, it's a Dagenham Ford. This they were made in Britain and exported to like Germany, Australia, and places like that. Yeah,
it looks great.
Yeah,
hey, thanks for talking to us about it.
You're welcome. No problem.
It's car of the day time, and it's a Porsche 928S, and I'll tell you why. Two reasons. One, it's an amazing car, a truly great car. And two, back in 1978, when I was growing up in Bury, Lancashire, yes, Bury, Lancashire, there was, believe it or not, a Porsche dealer. There weren't many in the country back then, but there was one in Bury, Ian Anthony. And when one of my mates told me that there was one of these in the window of Ian Anthony, I was straight up there after school. And do you know what the Porsche 928 looked like to me, aged 13? It looked like the future. At 45 years on, this remarkable car still looks like the future. The only thing that's missing is the swirly op-art Pasha interior. There's a little tribute to it on the gear stick. Apart from that, it's perfect. And my car of the day, a Porsche 928S. So Emma, why is it so much fun just like looking at cars and talking to people in the field? I've been here most of the afternoon and I've just met some great people.
Because cars are my lifeblood. I grew up with cars in the family. Dad had Morgan and an E-Type, and as a teenager my overriding ambition was to make enough money to buy a TVR. That was back in the mid-80s.
What kind of TVR would that have been back then? Would it have been a wedgie one?
Wedge. Definitely a wedge. It had to be 350i, Series 2, which I did eventually acquire when I was 26. So it took me about 10 years to save up enough money. But I went to the Middle East with my rucksack, one-way ticket, and I worked really hard selling Jeeps to Arabs. And yeah, it was really good fun.
Do you talk to people? As you know, I'm a big talker.
Yeah.
Hard to get a word in edgeways. I know, I understand. Live with it. But I will talk to people. And for me, that's one of the best things. I met a lady over there who's got an amazing original Mini. It's just an absolute bog standard Mini, but it's so original. And then I've just met a chap who's got a Renault 16, and this today is its first outing in 40 years.
Wow.
The first time that car's been out. And he told us the story of finding it and what he did with it, and his passion for the car. And when he was telling us, it was you could sense that it was kind of more than a car.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, today I've just been talking to a gentleman and his wife who've got a 21-year-old Audi. It was a V6 Audi, which has actually just won its class in here, and it's done 7,000 miles from new. They acquired it from a gentleman who died. It had done 5,000 miles at that stage, and they've done just over 1,000 miles in the last 3 years. But they treasure it. It's called Bert the Audi.
But do you feel that it's important to get out and meet the people, or isn't most of the business that you do online? Surely you're not actually selling policies on a day like today.
We don't do any business online. A client can go on the website and they can request a callback. We want to speak to people, Steve. I mean, there is no substitute for talking to our clients, meeting our clients, and that's why we do over 100 events in a year as RH. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 different teams out on the same weekend. So we have 2 or 3 of these marquees, 2-3 show kits, and we have an army of RH people that are out there meeting our clients.
It's not like regular car insurance, isn't it? You've got to look people in the eye. I mean, I tried it on with my insurer. Sorry, I'm not with you guys. I don't know why I'm not with these guys. Maybe we can change that. But I called him up because I thought, although this motorcycle technically qualifies under the guidelines, maybe it's a little bit borderline. And he just laughed and said, I don't think we can stretch to one of those, Steve. And I thought, yeah, because it really, it's basically a hooligan bike, and I was kind of getting it for hooligan reasons. And he said, we can't really, it's you've got to. There are no hard and fast rules, is what I'm saying. I think you've got to go off the people and the situation, and you've got to make almost like an individual judgment every single time.
Absolutely. So with your bike, I mean, is it more than 15 years of age?
It's more than 50 years of age, but it's basically a 150 brake horsepower monster, which I was trying to sneak onto a classic policy, and they just laughed and said no.
Well, I would say give us a call.
All right.
Okay, because you are over 21, Steve.
Oh, only just. Come on.
Over 21. I assume you've had your full Category A licence for at least 12 months.
God almighty, I've had it for 40 years.
Okay, and the bike, you're doing less than 5,000 miles a year?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Kept garaged up.
Oh, absolutely. In Manchester, it won't last half an hour if it wasn't.
So there is a chance.
Yeah.
Now, as long as, of course, you declare all the modifications. So if it's had any performance upgrades.
I don't think it needs any.
As long as it's not running nitrous.
Right, okay.
As long as there's no nitrous involved, then there's a good chance we can help you with that. We'd love to.
Yeah, but it's great that you come out, I think, and meet people, because I think some people say, oh yeah, I love cars, and you never see them. And it's like, I've always done this. I've always come to events like this, sunny weekend, bank holiday, car show. Yeah, great. Look at some cars, look at some bikes. People seem quite surprised. They go, no, I actually really like cars and motorbikes. It's what I do anyway.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, for me, this doesn't feel like work, and that's why I do what I do with RH. And I've been head of RH for 12 years, and every day is different. Every day I can actually share my passion for cars and bikes with our clients. I can help educate clients as well about cherished salvage and what that really means, because they don't understand. They just don't understand.
Well, that's it. We had a great time and the weather was kind of what a beautiful spot Thoresby Hall is. For details of the next Classic Shows extravaganza, find us at classicshows.org, or we are Classic Shows on both Facebook and Twitter. See you at the next one.